Hi, I'm Sarah Cowgill, along with Andrew Moran, Mark Angelides, and Dave Patterson. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. The gloves finally came off as former President Donald Trump stormed his way through the biggest conservative event of the year, CPAC. No one person or entity was safe. New nicknames came about, more fake news was on the docket, and Fox News was nearly silent. Since election 2020, when Fox News declared Arizona for Biden after about, 0.000% had been reported, things have been kind of frosty between the two. After the January 6th mess, the conservative news outlets had ceased any coverage of Trump, the candidate. Dave, dashing Dave. I know this is your favorite subject. Talk to us about Trump and Fox.
Well, I think that this is not a divorce made in heaven. I think that rather this is just Trump being Trump. I mean, I don't know that Fox has necessarily moved away from Trump, with the except of Geraldo Rivera, who now does not support former President Trump in 2024. But I think that, Trump derangement syndrome is the most infectious thing that we have seen since COVID, and perhaps, supplants it. Everyone is offended these days. And of course, it doesn't take much to set former President Trump off. And so I think that this is just a stage that everyone is going through. And as soon as you start to see the candidates more clearly that are going to be facing Trump, I think that what's going to happen is that Fox will be seen as a far more middle of the road media outlet.
You're probably right there, Dave. I mean, it's the road less traveled for for them. But the point you make about this is, I think it's really good one, because you have obviously on one side you have your alphabets, your ABCs, MSNBC, CNN, and then on the other side you've basically just got Fox. Now, some of the numbers, by the way, just I was looking into them recently. It's in well over its 100th week of being top of the prime time, and the prime time viewing figures are more than, I think it's more than CNN and MSNBC combined for their prime time shows on Fox. So they are the big beast in the room. But if they're not backing Trump when it comes to 2024, because they are, I mean, they're an avowedly right-wing thing. Who are they? They're not gonna start supporting Joe Biden. My question is,
are you sure? Because they're pretty soft on him.
Well, you never know. But who jumps into that void? Who jumps into the void if Fox says, well, we're not going to go down the Donald Trump road again? We've given it twice. We're not going down it again. Who jumps into that void? Now, that is an interesting question. And I think there's a number of smaller, more boutique style outlets that are either taking the right or the conservative, let's call it the conservatarian position on things. But there's nobody really for the middle ground. And the idea that Fox might become a middle ground outlet has people like Mr. Kinzinger and Chuck Schumer shaking pearls, I'm sure.
Well, I think at this stage we can all agree that Donald Trump doesn't need any media outlet whatsoever. He doesn't need Fox. He doesn't need OAN. He doesn't need RSBN. He doesn't need anybody. I mean, look at the latest polls. I think it was in the Northeast, and he has 58% support in the Republican primary with Ron DeSantis at a distant 21%. So it may have been true in 2016, but in 2020 race, he doesn't need. I mean, he has Truth Social and attending those massive rallies, and that is it. That's all he needs to, if the polls are correct, that's all he needs to win the nomination again.
Well, I think, Andrew, there is another part to this, and that is, if you'll recall back in 2016, when he did win, is that during the course of the campaign, he would call in to CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and he got billions of dollars worth of free advertising for Donald Trump. That was not true necessarily in 2020, and probably will not be true in 2024.
He had 4 years of just beating the heck out of him. he didn't turn around. Everything he did was wrong and racist, and he was really beaten, and still came out of it pretty tough. But I don't think. I mean, if Fox takes a step back and doesn't stick true to their conservative kind of news outlet, I don't see any Republican being able to compete with the other two networks.
If you look at the recent reports of Tucker Carlson, and he released these text messages were leaked, and he said that he absolutely hates Donald Trump. But if you look at his coverage of the last 4 years, or at least during when Trump was president, he did give President Trump a fair shake. He did provide, even coverage when it came to monitoring the administration and then looking at how the media reacted to the Trump administration. So, but the Fox News, Fox News has not been intellectually or ideologically consistent throughout its whole tenure. You look at Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity loved the Patriot Act. He loved the Iraq War. He loved big government when the Republicans were in charge. And then that completely changed when Trump became president, started calling out the interventionist foreign policy and, the whole big government apparatus and the swamp and the deep state. So Fox, if everyone's listening to Fox News to carve their own ideology, I think that's a mistake in itself.
I think too, Andrew, that what you see with Fox is if Fox modifies or moderates its points of view even a little bit from center right, they become center, regardless of and their center right to right has always been resident in their commentators. Not the Brett Baers and Brit Humes of the world.
Hey, I remember Brit Hume. I remember during the 2008 election. I'm sorry for dumping the shows there on this segment anyway. But I remember Brit Hume. I remember when he would cover the Ron Paul campaign, and he also didn't give Ron Paul a fair shake. Nobody on that network they all mocked Ron Paul. They all made fun of the policies he supported, whether it was the Federal Reserve or ending the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. So, for me personally, I will never forgive Fox News for that coverage in 2012. But I would not say that even their news coverage is objective or, as you say, centered.
Fair and balanced, I think. That's what you're searching for. Fair
Fox
and balanced.
Business, however, Fox Business is a decent alternative, I would say. Fox Business.
Let me throw a little, hairpin curve in here and say, or ask, are all news outlets trying to go back to middle ground?
No.
Exactly the point I was about to make, sir. You've got places like Fox and all of them, they covered Trump as a 2016 Trump, but then they covered 2020 Trump as 2016 Trump. And if Trump tries to run again in 2024 as 2016 Trump, he's going to get the same reaction. So what I've seen him doing, or what I suspect he's doing, and what I think it's hinted at quite strongly in the message that he's put out so far, is he's going for a Trump 2.0. And that's not going to be based on a Trump 2.0 personality, because you can't separate the personality from the man or from the president even. Mm-hmm. But in terms of policy, because you had people who were against Trump in 2016 coming on to his side because of how he did with the policy, the basic conservatarian policy. And I think what he's putting out now is a platform that will work for him because of the policy. It will work for him despite his personality and the animosity that so many people feel towards him. And so the networks will have to adjust to a Trump 2.0 in a way that they didn't have to in 2020.
I would say Sarah's
not everybody liked the man on a personal level, but they liked and enjoyed his policy.
I think that's true, Sarah. But the question I always ask to my never Trumper friends, who incidentally after Biden are becoming fewer, but what I always ask is, okay, you didn't like his style, but what didn't you like about the fact that he didn't get us in any fighting wars? He actually made a reasonable assessment when the Navy drone was shot down. He asked the question, how many people will die if we send Tomahawk missiles into the factory where the missiles were and they said, well, about 150. Well, nobody died in the drone. Why would I do that? I mean, he has a measured approach in a way that I think is somewhat eccentric to what people expect in Washington, D.C. And I do think that 2.0 Donald Trump will be that, because he is going to be reacting to 3 years of the lunacy that we've experienced.
He has a foil to work against now.
Absolutely. I mean, let's face it, the next 2 years are going to be an e-ticket ride, so we might as well buckle up. But it will be entertaining, I can tell you that much. Thanks, panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV production. Thank you for tuning in, and remember to surf on over to libertynation.com. And special thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio. I'm Sarah Cowgill, filling in for Lisa K. Donner. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, where truth matters.